God is clear on this. It is not good that man be alone. Relationship is the fuel of life. It gives us energy and strength. To be complete, you need other people in your life, but those people need to be the right people. Have you ever found yourself in an unhealthy relationship where you experienced a lack of connection or felt controlled by the other person? Dr. Townsend explains that a person's true character emerges over time, and he helps you recognize some warning signs that unsafe people exhibit in relating to others. Knowing these traits will help you make better choices.
So that's chapter 2. Now we're going to go to chapter 3, the interpersonal traits of unsafe people. Again, this chapter has, if you're looking at the book, this chapter has 9 traits in there. I'm going to give you the top 4 traits, and then you can unpack the others as you go down. The first one is unsafe people avoid closeness. Unsafe people avoid closeness versus making a connection. Versus connecting. An interpersonal trait of an unsafe person is that they really aren't interested in a relationship. You know, God made all of us for relationship, right? I mean, if you read the Bible, back in Genesis 2, it says, when God made Adam, it says it's not good that man be alone, right? And that's not a verse about marriage. If you go into the Hebrew in that, it's not a marriage verse. It doesn't say you're unhappy till you're married. It says we need another person in our life. It's not a person. It's not about marriage. It's about people. That we are incomplete without people. Some people, for whatever reason, have dismissed this as a value, and they really don't like to get close. In fact, what you'll find out is that when you feel, normally we have a thing called loneliness. God built a feeling of loneliness in us. If you study the psychological research on attachment theory and on bonding theory, from the womb, we have needed other people around us. Now, as you get older, you don't need people around you 24/7. There's a thing called internalization where you take in all this kind of love and support and affirmation, and after a while, you can do without it all the time because you've made it part of you and you can draw on it. But all of us should get periods when we are lonely at certain times and we want a relationship. We want somebody to listen to us and kind of tell us we're okay and be interested in our life. That's just normal. There are some people who don't want this, and in fact, they will, in some ways, attack or pull away from you if you want a relationship. That's an unsafe trait because relationship is the very fuel of life. It's where we get energy. It's where we get creativity. It's where we get strength to do hard things. And if you've got somebody in your life who, when you want to connect, they don't want that. And in fact, if they kind of make you a bad guy for wanting a relationship, oh my gosh, I was talking to, it was in our Ultimate Leadership Workshop, and I was working with an executive who had a boss that he really wanted a better relationship with, and his boss was just kind of a harsh taskmaster. And when he said, "I'd like to be involved in decisions that I'm involved with," he's a professional person. I mean, he was a very high level person. And he was just saying, "You're making decisions. You're just putting the mandates down there and sending me emails, and I want to do what you have to say, but I want to be involved. I want us to talk about it." His boss said, "Oh, there you go, that touchy-feely stuff again." That touchy-feely stuff. All he was asking for was a supportive relationship so he could do a job. But there's some people that push that kind of need for a better relationship into something weak and something bad. Watch out for that. If you're around people that when you start talking about, "I just need to unpack or know that I'm okay," or vent or whatever, and they say, "There you go, touchy-feely again," you're not the bad guy here. God made you with those needs. Something is broken in them and they're making you the bad guy, mainly because you're tapping into their own needs and they don't want to feel that. It's just actually it's called projection, but if you look in Matthew 7, Jesus said, "Take the beam out of your eye before you take the mote out of your brother's eye." They don't want to feel that beam in their eye, and so they make you the bad guy. So watch out when you feel dependent feelings and longings, and I just need to hang out with somebody. God made you that way. Watch out for people that put you down for having normal sorts of longings. The second one is unsafe people are invested means it's important to them. They're invested in the I versus the we. Unsafe people, when they're in relationship with you, it's kind of all about them, and it's very difficult. I was talking to somebody, and I didn't know him really well. Nice person, but I didn't know him well. And I got onto what we were talking about. Oh, I was talking about it was the anniversary of something that happened in my life as a medical thing, and I said something like, this has happened to me. And the first thing they said was, well, in my medical life, I've had this happen. In my medical life, I've had this happen. And I remember feeling like, are we ever going to get back to me? Because I kind of started the talk here. And it's a little bit like, now this person's a nice person, and they would never have done this. They did get back to me. And I'm giving this example just to say it wasn't a trait in this person, but it is a trait in other people. It was just kind of a glitch on this guy's part. But there's some people, when you throw them the football, they lateral it, and you give them the conversation football, and they take it all the way down the field, and they don't ever come back to you. And you begin to find out they're more concerned about how they're feeling with you than about their impact on you. I think that this is an impact statement, that you want to have people around who are concerned about, how do I impact you? Do I make you happy? Do I make you sad? Do I make you feel accepted? Do I push you in healthy ways and help you be a better person? Or does it kind of like all about my relationship and this sort of thing? I remember when I was writing the book, I talked about a guy I had a conversation with, and tried to help him. And it was late at night. And this is before I was married, because I didn't have kids and spouses, and kind of like, okay, I can go late on this. I talked to this guy for like 2 hours. There's a guy I knew in business, about his life and his dating life and his job and all this. And I remember I just had to get off the phone. I think I was starving to death. And I said, I got to go. And he said, well, thanks for that little bit of help you gave me. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, you're a black hole. He was not even concerned about, like, thanks for giving the time, and maybe I didn't help him at all. I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. But he wasn't concerned about the impact on me. It was kind of about his life. Watch out for people that always make it about them. Because what that means is you may be investing some time with someone and just building up their own sense of entitlement or narcissism, as opposed to the way God intended it, which is I give to you and you give to me, and we're both better people. That's the good part. Third one is that unsafe people resist freedom. Your freedom. They resist your freedom versus, here's your little versus encouraging it. Encouraging your freedom. You know what freedom really is? Freedom is just having the ability to choose. Choose what restaurant you want to go to, how you want to spend the time. And safe people kind of go, well, I know you can't be with me all the time, or you can't be in that committee, or you can't go to the restaurant, or gosh, I'm sad that you're moving, or you're going to change jobs. I wish you well. Unsafe people make you a bad guy for making decisions out of your own choices. It's the kind of relationship where everything goes well if you're doing what they want. If you're doing sort of, how the brochure says, the evangelistic brochure says that God has a wonderful plan for your life. Well, Sam might have a wonderful plan for your life, or Sally might have a wonderful plan for your life, but it's not your plan, because they're not God. So if you go according to their plan and you schedule the way they want, and you have the same tastes and preferences, everything's hunky-dory and you have a great time. But if you screw up and say, I disagree with that, or I don't see it that way, or I can't do that, or I don't have time to do this, or that doesn't work for me, all of a sudden they get the attitude. And the attitude means, I don't really want you to be free. I don't like that. We get along when you kind of live my life my way. It's really sort of deceptive, because you'll find out there's this great relationship, we have good times, then you kind of come back after the evening and you go, I kind of lost myself. I sort of didn't, we had a great time, but the me was gone. What sometimes psychologists call that the voice. My own voice went away, and that's the only way I could get along with this person, was to lose my voice. Well, with safe people, they want you to have a voice and have choices and be different from them and even confront things and say, I don't see it that way, or that's a problem for me. They encourage that. They want you to have choices because they know what's healthy. So watch out for the ones that sort of get the tune going when you have choices that may not agree with them. And then the fourth one is unsafe people fail one of the most important tests of all, which is the time test. The test of time, instead of, that's really a bad V, isn't it? I failed the handwriting test, but I'm getting better. Versus, they pass. Unsafe people fail the time test, safe people pass the time test. What is the time test? It's a test of character. Because however a person's wired inside, you only find out how they're wired by watching them and experiencing them over time. I think it's one of the signs of the grace of God that people can't fake their character forever. They can't fake it till the grave. It's just like it's like bubbles in the river. Sooner or later, their character, for good or for bad, loving, healthy, friendly, patient, that bubbles up. But so does selfishness and self-centeredness and rage attacks and victim mentality. All that comes up too. That's why the Bible says in 2 Timothy, Paul says, do not lay your hands quickly on any person. He's talking about leadership there. But you don't pick someone quickly. You don't marry someone quickly. You don't get involved with someone romantically quickly. You don't hire someone quickly. Why do you think businesses have a probation period? Because the idea is to watch the movie. Watch how they do under stress. Watch how they do at holiday times. Watch what they do when there's failure, when there's conflict. Watch how they are on vacations. Watch how they are with their friends. Watch how they are with your friends. Always wait a period of time, because here's the thing. Anybody can fake it with a picture, with a photo. An interview, a dinner, anybody can pull that off. But the real power there is the movie. Watch them over the movie, not the picture, and you'll get reality. Unsafe people, you'll find out there was some selfishness in there, or some control, or some judgment. Had no idea, but you'll find it if you wait. Be patient. Don't hang on to anybody until you've kind of done the due diligence. Okay, here's some questions for you. Question number one, which of these four are you the most vulnerable to and why? Like we talked about your vulnerabilities. Is it the closeness thing, or is it the resisting freedom, or the time test, or I just skip one, or the I versus we? So figure out which one that you kind of let that person in your space. Second question, who are you waiting for to move towards you, and for how long? In other words, if you're trying to be open and vulnerable and have real deep relationships, and you're waiting for a disconnector to kind of move towards you, are you hanging on forever? How long are you going to wait for that person? Have the conversation, be vulnerable with them, let them know you're in a relationship, but you can't wait forever. Question number three, who needs the time test? You probably got somebody in your life that needs the time test. And go ahead and instead of investing money and time and energy in your heart, watch them for a while. That's what works. So I hope that you're having a good time and also a helpful time in learning who's safe and who's not. There really are a lot of cool people out there. It's a big world and a lot of safe people. I want you to be safe, but also want you to have a better picker so that you have a better life. All right, so we'll see you next week. God bless you.